While the back-to-back high-revenue concerts are unlikely to happen again, concert tourism remains a promising growth area for Singapore. We have Dr. Guy Llewellyn from EHL Hospitality and Business School to tell us more. Dr. Llewellyn, how can Singapore effectively diversify its entertainment offerings to, let's say, ensure a steady influx of tourists year-round?
What we can do in Singapore is we have a wide range of already established events of all of the public holidays that we already have that we can utilize. And so what we have to do is around the public holidays is strategically place all of the other events. We have a lot of great music venues, music acts coming in. Taylor Swift was here, Coldplay, Bruno Mars. So what we have to do is make sure that those events, the F1 events, the World Aquatics Championships, are equally spread out across the calendar year. So if we can make sure through with the event organizers, the tour operators, the government agencies, that we strategically place those different events across the entire calendar, then we can start adding in some of the smaller events. That way we will constantly have an influx of tourists across the year that come for either the major events or the minor events, but that way we're not just going to be Q1 heavy or part of the year heavy in different areas.
I noticed that majority of the examples that you've just mentioned are physical events. Now, do digital and virtual events also play a role in Singapore's booming tourism?
So the problem is that they were great. Digital events, virtual events during the pandemic, they were great. They really kept people thinking about Singapore. And that those digital events really were the cause of the boom of tourists that came back because they had been kept on seeing the digital events, seeing what was going on. They wanted to experience it on their own. Post-pandemic, people really want to turn back to in-person events. So people want to travel to Singapore to see the Eras Tour, to see the F1. They don't want to see that online. So most of the events these days are in-person events. Now, what tour operators and event managers can do is also offer a portion to be digital, because that way those people that are still undecided about where to go for their next destination can still be a part of it and see what it looks like. That's why the F1 is so popular, because everybody can see what it looks like in Singapore. And then all of a sudden they have that desire to come here. But just to have a digital only or virtual event is going to be very difficult to drive business here. So it has to be part of it. Alternatively, marketing is critical. So if you're looking at using augmented or virtual reality to highlight the Marina Bay Sands, Sentosa, the Botanic Gardens, then those will definitely drive tourists to come here. They see it in the virtual world, and they will absolutely then want to come. But the marketing side is very different than having events and just having digital events.
And aside from marketing, Dr. Llewellyn, can you identify what are the key elements that make a hospitality package attractive to tourists?
So to have a package, what would be great is if we could have almost like a one-stop shop. So what we could do is incorporate the flight tickets, the hotels, like the transportation credits, and even potentially some F&B credits. And that way people can kind of feel like they have almost like an all-inclusive from when they leave to when they arrive. Now, part of all of that is that there has to be many different levels. So you have to have the ultra luxury versions, you have to have the middle of the road versions, and you have to have the budget versions to make sure that we fit into everybody's financial portfolio. And then what we can do is then work with the different airlines and the hotels to offer different packages. So we saw that a lot with the Eras Tour, that there was so many different bespoke rooms. All of the rooms were inclusive of Taylor Swift music, merchandise, posters, pillows. The entire hotel became an event on itself. So if we want to make these packages, we really need to make sure that we start from when they come to Singapore, and then we have the whole thing. So if you're looking at the F1, there should be, or even bands, there has to be exclusive events for those that are staying in the ultra luxury locations that include backstage tours, that include meet and greets, private signings. So they feel like they're getting something more than just what anybody would be coming into Singapore without joining one of these packages. So if you have a big museum gallery opening, then there should be a private curated tour to see the artwork before it gets open to the public. So we really need to make sure that it looks at everything and not just here's your flight, here's your hotel, here's your food, but then how do we package it to make it that next level with the bespoke offerings?
Thank you so much for the recommendations. We are looking forward to see what's next for Singapore's concert tourism. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Llewellyn.
And thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Once again, that was Dr. Guy Llewellyn, Assistant Professor at EHL Hospitality and Business School. For more news, visit sbr.com.sg.